All right, I'm going to speed this up now, and you're going to see a lot of pictures go by really fast, if I can figure out how to do this. I don't think I can. Okay, these are pictures of the canoes. That's from Magellan's voyage. And you've seen a lot of these, and I'm going to get to rush through them because you already know we were a seafaring society. But this picture, take a quick look at that before it disappears. Look at all the canoes around the ships. In 1565, when the San Pedro came to Guam, they were 3 leagues off when they started being surrounded by canoes. And they came and they kept coming. And when the Spanish dropped their anchor, the Chamorros kept coming until they counted 400 or 500 around them. And that's why we're 500 sails. Because we want to get back to that. We want 500 canoes in our waters again. If we do that, we will have reclaimed our maritime tradition. They're not very good artists. Look at the canoes. Again, maybe they really were square-ended, I don't know.
It's for a motor mount.
There were pirates came by. In fact, the Spanish encouraged them to kill every Chamorro. I am really zooming by. I'm sorry, but we got to move on here. I want to get to this drawing because of all that we got from the old days. We have no models of Chamorro sailing canoes that were passed on and preserved. Only models, really, that had their foundation in this drawing. Because in 1742, the English were at war with Spain, and they sent the Centurion around the world, headed by Admiral Anson. It was a fleet of 7 ships, 1,500 men. And they were dropping dead like flies. They really were. And we're looking at the log, and every day is a summary of how many people died that day. By the time they got to the Marianas, there were 200 people left, dying at the rate of 1 a day. And they got to Tinian, which had been depopulated by the Spanish. They put out a Spanish flag. They were approached by a canoe with 7 Chamorros on it and 1 Spaniard. It was captured, and this drawing was made by the expedition draftsman, a man named Piercy Brett. And it is a state-of-the-art blueprint for a canoe from the age of the tall ships. And someone asked earlier, how do you know there are 40 feet? Well, look.
String. You string it.
Yeah, it was string. No, it wasn't string. It was because we have a scale in feet. We know. Those are inches. This is how a nautical draftsman draws a canoe. He took it apart, he measured it, and we relied on that. Now I'm going to stop for a moment to tell you, 10 years ago or so, I started an organization in Saipan, SacmanChamorro.org, and our goal was to build this canoe. But we really didn't have it together. We raised some money, and we did a lot of research, but the local people that were involved, for one reason or another, they just ceased to cooperate. And eventually, the project, with their blessing actually, was given over to Mario's group, the Tevlu organization, and they built it. Mario and I had lots of conversations, and one of the reasons that I had faith in him is we had the same vision. And the vision was very simple. The Chamorros need their canoes back. They need this icon. They need to know that they are islanders. They're not the only islanders without canoes. In fact, they're the islanders who built and sailed the fastest canoes in all the world, the fastest sailing vessels for thousands of years. And that's something to be proud of, and it's a rallying call. And we need that, because if you have ethnic pride, cultural pride, I should say, cultural pride, and culture being the shared experience of living together in an environment, reacting to that environment and yourself and each other over time, that's where everything comes from. Those interactions, your food, your song, your dances, your buildings, your canoes, how you look at life. That's all culture from living together. And the canoe was taken from them, it was stolen, and it just cut the heart out of the Chamorro cultural body. It was a disaster. So we knew we need to get this canoe back, and it would be iconic. So we started to work. We based it on this canoe. This is the SacmanChamorro organization in Saipan. These guys were sincere, they really wanted to do it. Everyone has something that happened, it just didn't work out. But, and we did an English Channel swim. We had the Flying Crow relay team that swam from England to France, and we're in the record books. It was all Chamorros. Yeah, we raised $5,000 with that. This is the group. That's Mario in there with his dinghy, his twin brother, and his friends. And we went to Mendocino, and we got a redwood log. And we bought it from an independent forester who was sympathetic, and he gave us a really good price on this log. But he didn't tell us about the spike in the middle of it that Mario ran into and all his tools. But that's the log. Look at this massive log. We took the money that we got from the channel swim, and that's what we used to transport this down to San Diego. Now, there they are, using ancient technology. But I gotta tell you, Mario went to the Maui Canoe Festival and he helped the Yak people, and there were chainsaws running. So that's the way it is. He decided to make it a 47-foot canoe, which we argued about, but he was right, it works. And he put up the ends. He had to build up the canoe to make it 47 feet. It's just an incredible feat to take an ancient drawing and with just like no money really except the materials to get all your friends together and build this thing. And it's a thing of beauty, it really is. Look at the stitching. Each of those has dowels in it where those stitchings are, dowels holding together. They're glued and they're stitched and the stitches are enclosed. It's solid. Now it's getting to be the beautiful canoe it is. Look at all the stuff. Yeah, it's just incredible. Let's look at this picture. I know how much work that was. But look at it. Ironically, it's next to a ship of the same era, and this is what the Chamorros were up against. Look at the cannons. Yeah. This is what they were up against. Racist people, honestly, racist, selfish people who wanted your stuff, and you're going to fight them with your little canoes. It went to FestPac. It was the star of the show. It represented Guam and the diaspora. And again, there's more Chamorros in the diaspora than there are in the Mariana Islands. We were well represented. Ironically, there's a priest there blessing it when the priest was. This is me and my wife, Emma, and Emma is the person behind me who enables everything I do. And we're on that awesome canoe. Look at that beautiful thing. And I got to sail it. There's a story about that, but I won't share, but I'll tell you real quick. See, I am sharing it. I missed that boat, and we swam a half mile to a mile out to catch it. We were picked up by a Lamotrek canoe and brought over to it. Actually, the police came and took us off and then brought us nearby and dumped us in the water, and we swam and got it. But I got to go on this canoe. It's the first time I was ever on it underway, and I got to sail it. It's a dream come true to sail this thing I've been dreaming about for a decade. It was truly the star of the show in FestPac. And what's going on here is these are pictures from FestPac to just give you a sense of the greatness of this event. People from all over the place, and the Chamorros represented. Look at our canoes. Everyone expected Carolinian canoes, Marshallese canoes, Polynesian canoes. No one expected Chamorro canoes. This is what Judy was saying. Look at how many are on the water. I was so happy. When we were swimming to catch that canoe, it was going straight to Japan. And by the time we caught it, we were way out beyond everybody. But that meant we could look back and see all the canoes. And we saw all these sails on the water, a sight that hadn't been seen in hundreds of years. And, you know, Mario did it. Thank you, Mario. This is our vision. Hundreds of sails on the water again. We have 2,000, by the year 2030, we need to accomplish that. But I've got to say, it can't be wood. And why can't it be wood? Because that canoe cost $60,000. And that was with all the happy labor, free labor. It took a year after all the pieces were in place. We can't build 500 canoes at a year each and $60,000. We can't do it. So we looked for a way and did research and found a way to build with fiberglass. It's easy to learn. And everybody from San Diego came up, and this is my house in San Francisco. The old guy sitting next to me is a world-renowned boat designer and builder, Derek Kelsall. And we built the Chamorro canoe, a hull, in about 8 days. It would have been 4, except I screwed up. But that's okay. It's all learning experience. But what I did was, what we did was we got the backyard all cemented, and we made a temporary boatyard. And we're right there in San Francisco. This guy came all the way up to learn how to do this. Same drawing that you saw before. We build with a table, and we got people to pay to come to learn too. That helped finance it. That's the white people there. And we make a flat panel of fiberglass, and we score it to bend it, and we cut darts in it to bend it once you've already bent it, because it's really hard to bend something that's already bent if you want to bend contrary to that bend. So this is it. You make stations, and you take this scored piece of fiberglass, and you bend it around the stations, and look, got a canoe. It costs about $4,000 to build one of these canoes, which is a lot less than $60,000. It's a 25-foot canoe, but then I moved to Saipan. Mario went back to San Diego. He took the canoe with him, and I do hope he'll finish it one day, but he's been busy, really busy with Ted. And this is in New Zealand. Same guy. We went to his home in New Zealand because now he's too elderly to travel. And we built a 26-foot one with the help of the guy on the right, who's a French builder. Actually built a lot of the sets for the Hobbit movie. He's a really talented guy. 500 Sales is underway, a nonprofit in CNMI and a 501c3. We have employees, and here's a Carolinian employee who's helping us in learning. Our goal now is not 500 Chamorro canoes, it's 500 Chamorro and Carolinian canoes, because the Carolinians are in just as big trouble as we are in the CNMI. They haven't built their own canoe, and they don't in many years. It's still inaccessible. So our plan is to build both canoes and make them readily available. This is the process. It's a vacuum infusion. It's a very interesting industrial-looking technique, and for a while it looks kind of messy. But in the end, when you put all the pieces together and you look at it, you have a hull. And there it is. Now, that's a Chamorro canoe. And anybody who knows the shape, it's a Chamorro canoe. And we built the outrigger to go with it. And we put everything together. We didn't finish it in New Zealand, but we very, very quickly ran outside and snapped a picture and packed our bags and came back to Saipan. And then we launched it. And we're getting there real quick. You can see it's actually fun to build. The Carolinian Chamorro, the Carolinians and Chamorros of the CNMI get along very, very well, and we support each other. We built our own sail. That's Ron at Fauci from Guam. He's such a dedicated person that we invited him, and we paid his whole trip to learn this method. This is the canoe we built. Not done. But as I say, we took that apart, caught our planes, and came back. This is the day we launched it. It was a big deal. People were so excited. And behind the tree there in the middle, you see a little red hull? That's a Carolinian canoe that came out to greet the first Chamorro canoe in the Northern Marianas for 270-something years. There it is in the water. We didn't know how to sail it. It was a rush to get it done. Thank God Mario came and helped us, or we never would have made it. We got on this thing. There's some problems to the practiced eye. You can see that outrigger is a little crooked. We also had 100 pounds of ballast because we weren't sure if it was too light. It only weighed 200 pounds. But we got in and it sailed beautifully. And we used that to teach swimming. We use it as a lure. This is a troublemaker who showed up. That's Judy Flores' grandson and Sandy's son. Yeah. He came and helped us for like 3 weeks a month. He was so helpful. But we do these events. We have public events, and we have a lot of students that come out and learn. We have our second canoe on the table that we're building. We have the Roberta L that's coming in. That's a 41-footer that was donated. We're taking that canoe, and it's getting put in shape. That canoe is going to join this canoe to go to Pagan on November 8th, along with the Makali'i. That's the plan, and I know a Thompson's supposed to come out and join us too. That's a Roberta L.
Bunch of hippies.
They were hippies. I just wish I didn't follow that generation, because they're a hard act to follow. So this is the canoe as it arrived. Everyone in CNMI is excited about these things and excited about this canoe. And it's kind of a Frankenpro in a way, because there are pieces of different cultures added to it. But you know what? It went 30 knots. It's unheard of. Look how big it is. They're working on it right now. They're like ants crawling all over it. Now, this is, I got to tell you, we have one more canoe, 50-foot double-hull Polynesian canoe by the Okeanos Foundation for the Sea. Their goal is sustainable, traditional transportation to unite the people of the ocean, the peoples, original peoples, and to make it possible for them to operate canoes without fossil fuels. They're giving us one. It's arriving next week. It costs $700-something thousand. It burns coconut oil for its engine when there's no wind. And the reason we do that it has to do that is we're trying to get traditional practices back in the modern world. And you can't build a business if you can't be on time. So we have to have coconut oil engines. This is what our canoe looks like. Its name is Okeanos Marianas, and it's part of the fleet that's going up, I guess, about 2 weeks. And now, you'd heard from Monica about, and from me, I guess, too, about how we have all these problems in the Northern Marianas. Hagen has been uninhabited except for campers, really, and there's some shacks for a long time because there hasn't been reliable transportation. And this canoe will go on a schedule, and we will have reliable transportation. And they've opened up homesteading, and we're working with the Northern Islands Mayor's Office. We're going to repopulate the Northern Islands. So the Navy, when they tell us these are not used for anything. Okay, I think I'm out of time, but I just one other thing I wanted to share with you. I saw on the paper before I came here, the Mariana Variety, an article that said the Navy is putting their plans for Tinian on hold for the time being because of opposition from the community and the government. Okay, my time is up.
Yes, and to add to that, I saw an article that just came through that the governor is supporting that the governor of the Northern Marianas would like to put the negotiations on hold and supports the community's decision to hold the plan. So that's a very good sign. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions? We can take one or two questions now, or if you'd like, we could wait at the end and turn it more into a discussion.
Yes, please.
You spoke about giving swimming lessons. Do the Chamorros learn to swim still? I know in Hawaii that's a problem, and some of the kids don't.
Yeah, this is just one of the horrors of colonialism. Among the problems is the Chamorros were basically, they lost their freedom, and for many, many generations, over, hundreds of years, they were landlocked. And they stopped going out to the sea, and they stopped fishing, and it became a dangerous thing. And it's very deeply ingrained in Chamorro family culture, is the ocean's dangerous. So it's been hard, and we cannot have voyaging if we don't have people to swim. So for 3 years, it's the first thing 500 Sails was able to do was teach people to swim. We've taught over 200 people how to swim. Not all of them, most of them are actually not Chamorro, but you know what? We're an open, embracing the community kind of organization, and we want everybody to enjoy and honor our maritime tradition, and we're inclusive, so we want them to learn too. But if they learn to swim, we'll teach them to sail. If they learn to swim from Managaha Island to the shore, I think it's 1 3/4 miles, we will allow them to come in and with our help in about 3 weeks build their canoe, which they get to take home. We got funding in an ANA grant for to pay for 60 canoes. So yeah, sailing is absolutely, swimming must happen. If you can't swim, your parents aren't going to let you sail.
Can you?
Okay, great.
Oh, I just wanted to
Always the
say,
same hands.
Yeah.
all right, in regards to the Roberta L, that's been in my life for 45 years, which seems like a long time, but the boat was built in 1966. And it's still in it's in really good condition.
They were impressed. The people who came from Guam to build it, and they repair a lot of boats. They were really stunned by what good shape that canoe was in. And the reason why is these were steel makers who made it, and they were buddies, and they have that love of what they're doing.
There was
did a
over
good job. It's no production boat.
9,000 hours in labor in Chicago in a two-story apartment house, and they built that boat in a two-story apartment house, took it out the window, put it in the water, and eat everybody.
Yes. Pete, can you speak a little bit of this event coming up on December 8th? I'm just
November 8th? Okay, what's happening is that the canoe that we got from Okeanos Foundation has a master navigator. It's Pea Patai from the Cook Islands. He was trained by Maupialo. He's got on board are three people from 500, not from 500 Hills, but from Okeanos Sustainable Sea Transport, which is our local company. We had to make a business because of their business model. It just, you don't want to go into that. But there were three local people on that canoe, two experienced sailors, a tourist, and then Pea Patai. And when he comes back, he's kind of closing a loop. Mao gave the gift of navigation to the Hawaiians that enabled them to start their maritime tradition back up. That's what he did 40 years ago. This is a Polynesian trained by Mao. Saipan and Saktawal are tight. They've got familial connections. So he's going to come here. He's going to be received with a big ceremony. They're going to go to seclusion for about 3 days, which is their tradition. When they get out, Nainoa Thompson's supposed to come out, and we're going to sail to Pagan. Part of the reason to go to Pagan is because it's such a beautiful island. And Okeanos Foundation for the Sea, that's the big company that's giving out the canoes with a lot of strings. You gotta make it sustainable, and you can keep it. If it's not sustainable, they're going to give it to someone else and give them a try. You know, and our method of making it sustainable is to use it for cargo and passenger traffic in our area. We'll do it. We'll be fine. But they're working on a full-length movie, and they want to end it with the Okeanos Marianas landing in Pagan with Nainoa and Pea Patai. Stories are powerful. Okay? We want that to happen. That's why we pulled out all stops to get this canoe fixed. Thank you very much.